Hi guys, welcome back to another impressions video, and today I'm going to talk about this game right here, Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time for the PlayStation 3. This is essentially a 3D platformer that puts a heavy emphasis on stealth elements, which is something very unique. Personally, I can't really think of a video game that puts a heavy emphasis on stealth and platforming at the same time like the Sly Cooper games do. So for those of you that are not familiar, this is the fourth installment of this game. There are 3 other Sly Cooper games on the PlayStation 2 and they're all pretty fun, but in my opinion this is the better of the bunch. A really cool feature of this version, the PlayStation 3 version, is that it also comes with the cross-buy feature, which means you also get the Vita version of the game for free. So it's basically 2 games for the price of 1, which it's a deal because this game you can get this game for really cheap nowadays. And there are rumors that I believe in Europe this game is already a free game for PlayStation Plus, so it's only a matter of time before this game becomes available for free for Plus members in North America. So if that happens, please get the game because this is a very fun 3D platformer. And the story, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it basically deals with Sly Cooper and his friends going back in time to restore, to find out what's wrong. Basically, there's a disruption in the Thieves, which is a book that keeps all the information from the ancestors of the Cooper family, and there are some things going wrong. So it's up to you to travel back in time to different periods in time and find out what's wrong. That's basically the story in a nutshell. Of course, more things happen throughout the game, and that's something that I want to perhaps emphasize. All the 3D platformers that are part of the PlayStation family, if you will, such as Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, they all have this very good emphasis on story and narrative and characters, which is it kind of complements. For me, I'm both a PlayStation and Nintendo fan. So Nintendo platformers, they never have good stories. It's the basic of the most basic things out there. Princess Peach gets kidnapped and you have to rescue her, or the bananas are stolen and it's up to Donkey Kong to get all his bananas back. Extremely simplistic in the story, and there's basically no narrative at all. The PlayStation platformers are the complete opposite. These games, they have very, I don't want to use the word complex stories, but they're definitely more engaging, and the characters are in a way more likable because they all speak between themselves. There's humor in the game. There's a pretty good narrative throughout the game and the story. That's a good thing about the PlayStation platformers. Now the bad thing is that, well, not necessarily a bad thing, but they lack that polish and that awesome level design that Nintendo has in their platformers, which is not surprising. Nintendo has over 25 years of experience making platforming games, but that's not to say this game is bad or anything. It's actually the opposite. It has a very good level design, a pretty good structure if you ask me, but it doesn't reach the levels of quality of a Nintendo platformer. But with that being said, very good story, very good characters. You play mostly as Sly Cooper, which is the main, obviously, protagonist, but you also get to play as his friends, Murray, Bentley, Carmelita, which is his girlfriend. And a new addition in this game is that as you travel back in time and as you visit different worlds, you meet the ancestors of Sly Cooper, so you also get to play as them. And I really like that idea of going back in time because it allows you to play with different characters and they all have their own unique abilities. Not to mention that for every period of time that you visit, you unlock new costumes, and each costume has a special ability. And usually what happens is that each world or each period in time has several levels or several missions, and at the end after beating a certain amount of missions, you get to face the boss battle. And the progression in the game is good. The overall structure is good. Perhaps the one thing that I don't or that I didn't really like is that there's a little bit of inconsistency between the quality of the levels. Some levels are really good, some levels are not so very good, so it's this roller coaster of I guess quality, if you will, or level design. Some levels were really fun, and some levels were sort of forgettable, if you will. So unfortunately the game suffers a little bit from that, but the good news is that for the most part the level design and the levels, the mission structures are very good, and they keep you hooked, because again, you can play as Sly Cooper, you can play as his friends, and they all have their own unique abilities. You know, Murray, you know, he's the pink hippo. He's a big, strong, so you can go and do, you know, your melee attacks. Then you have Bentley. He is a you know, he's a very smart person, and you get to play with him in this hacking mini games, if you will, which I do have to say that's probably one of the negative parts of the game. Every now and then you play these hacking mini games that get quite repetitive and quite a little bit annoying towards the end of the game, because they're a little bit repetitive and take away from the platforming and stealth focus of the game, if you will. Now, throughout the game, as you all know, it's a 3D platformer. There's tons of collectibles, but they never get in the way. They're optional. If you want to collect all they have bottles in each level. They have hidden masks, and it's always entirely up to you if you want to pursue those collectibles. But it's always fun, challenging yourself, trying to get everything. Me personally, I didn't. I just went straight for the missions, and again, that's another good thing about the game, the variety. You play as different characters, you travel in time to different locations, so the game does a good job of not getting old, if you know what I mean. It doesn't get quite old. Some 3D platformers, sometimes they lack that variety that keeps you focused on the game, but Sly Cooper does a very good job with different characters, different settings, different costumes that you have to unlock throughout the game that have different abilities, and also just overall different move sets for each character, because Sly Cooper, he's a stealthy guy. Then you have the hippo, which is strong and he likes to fight, and so forth. And not to mention the ancestors, they all play differently. And I don't know, another thing that keeps you entertained is the story itself. It's really fun, just the dialogue between the characters. It's comical. It's pretty well written, the script in this game, and I do have to say that I'm very happy with the work done by Zanzaru Games. I believe it's the name of the studio. The Sly Cooper franchise or series was started by Sucker Punch, but they moved on to the infamous series, and now Zanzaru Games, I think they took over. I'm not really sure what the situation is, but essentially they took over and they did a pretty good job. I think they did the HD collection, and now they did Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, which is a very solid 3D platforming. The sound is great in this game. The soundtrack, very good. The characters are very likable. The level design, like I said, it's good but not great. Not on the same level as other, great 3D platformers like, made by Nintendo, for example. But again, this game can be gotten for very cheap nowadays, and it's a very good, I guess, entry point, if you will, if you haven't played the games. Past games in the series. There are some references to older games, some characters that obviously were introduced in previous games, but you're not gonna miss a whole lot. So I highly recommend this game, guys, if you enjoy 3D platformers with a good story and I guess acceptable level design. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.